Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our finale review for American Horror Stories. This is episode 7. Game over. Listen, I love video games. The idea of this episode appealed a lot to me. There are going to be polarizing takes in this video. We should just set that up from the get-go here.
Yeah, Matt and I are not really on the same page as this. This was my least favorite episode, and if you've watched any of our other videos, you know that Murder House is my all-time favorite season. It's very nostalgic for me, as it is for a lot of people out there. And, I really liked the first episode of Murder House, and then the second episode, I was like, we didn't need this. By the time they were revisiting it now in this last episode, I was like, oh, Ryan Murphy, you're cut off from going back to Murder House anymore. Like, you have done enough. You've done enough damage. Just put down the Murder House and step back and go and do something else.
I have a rational enjoyment of this episode because let me preface this by saying this. Do I think that this was actually good? No. Do I think that it was confusing as all get out? Yes, but I also feel like I am a real big fan of shows that get really weird and meta, which is probably why I like Community so much, and I'm always going to be in on kind of ideas and concepts like this. Like, I give them almost like a B for effort here. I'm not giving them an A for effort here because I don't actually think it was great, but I enjoyed a lot of the ideas that were going on here, but there were a lot of structural issues, there were a lot of execution issues.
Yeah, like I like a good sort of meta storytelling as much as the next person here, but like this didn't land. The structure wasn't there. It was to the point that we actually got up this morning to be like, we still confused. Where are we landing on this? We don't know. Like, what actually happened? Was it all a video game? Was some of it real? Some of it video game? Was none of it real? Like, is Murder House actually burned down? It was all so confusing. And when it gets to that point in your storytelling that we can't figure it out completely or even a little bit of like where it really landed, your storytelling failed.
Here's where I think we will both be in an agreement. This episode is completely unnecessary. This was like Ryan
Yes.
Murphy being as self-indulgent as like humanly possible and trying to be like, look how smart I am, everyone.
There are no more stories to tell with Murder House unless Ryan Murphy is going to go back and unburn the Murder House. Then there's no more stories to tell. This is what he's chosen to do.
We'll try to piece together everything and make sense of what's actually here, but as we get into it more, why not hit that subscribe button here? You know, we have been covering this show all season, American Horror Story double feature. Season 10 is right around the corner.
Can't wait.
We'll be here discussing that as well, and of course we don't want you guys to miss that.
All right, let's talk about the best thing in this episode, and it is Jamie Brewer, who was there for like 3 seconds. I was so excited to see her. I was so excited that her name was in the credits because I was like, oh, okay, and we're going to get more Jamie. No, that was all that was there.
I thought you were going to say Dylan McDermott, which...
I love Jamie Brewer. I think she's so good on this show, and I just was like, yeah, I saw her. I was like, ooh, okay. So they're really going to bring some good people back, really get into those callbacks. And yeah, Dylan McDermott was back, and that was great too. They needed to have him back, but they also needed to have Connie Britton back. Jessica Lange, where was she? And I know, like, we had the whole Tate and Violet story from the beginning, and I know that they've both grown up and they may look different, but like, you couldn't figure something out. Tate and Violet were such a huge part of this show.
Here's why this episode, despite my irrational enjoyment of it, this is why this was totally unnecessary, because Ryan Murphy from the start, he had to realize that because this is like a Hulu experimental show that's never really aired before, I'm guessing they didn't have that much of a budget. They didn't have that, like, you can't afford all the people that you probably wanted to bring back from the original Murder House. I feel like he probably poured a dump truck's worth of money at Dylan McDermott's door to show up, and I don't know, did he have like 8 minutes of airtime within this episode.
I think they could have dropped other people. Like they brought back Paris Jackson. I felt like their story was wrapped up. They didn't need to bring them back. Drive that money over to Connie Britton's house. Like, let's have a little bit of something else happening here. Jessica Lange's house. I mean, everybody wants to see her back on the series. I know that she said that she's like, donezo, but for something like, let's all go back to the beginning, just something. I felt like the fan service was kind of like almost there. But if you're gonna end it with sort of we burnt down Murder House and now they're condos, so now there's no going back, it's kind of like, okay, then you do need to bring back everyone for all the like super fans of Murder House to get that last little like, oh, this is the last time we're really going to be visiting it, then give me everything.
It did feel like they kind of wrote themselves into a corner with some of this, where I've a couple different minds here, because there was a part of me that felt like, okay, they shouldn't have put that last bit at the end of it where it was like the whole thing was a video game all over again. Or if they're going to put that there, don't put any evidence that they're in one of the condos at the very end of the episode. That way you're still making us believe that Murder House is still out there. You're not committing to going back to Murder House again, and this could still be it, but at least we could still think it's out there and around.
Yeah, it was, if they had just left it that Murder House got burned down in the game, then if Ryan Murphy wanted to come back, please don't come back and do this again. If he wanted to come back and he saw the reaction of some of us online, there's like, oh, we just 0 out of 10. We didn't like it. 1 out of 10 because Jamie's back, and that is it. But like, he would be able to have the door open to come back and deal with some of this. But because it was the house burned down in the video game, house burned down, now it's a condo, then we see the ball roll, so we're like, okay, so this part of the video game was based on like real research that the mother did on the condos that they are living in. That used to be Murder House. Now they're living in these condos, and it's part of the video game because it's part of her own experience of buying this condo. And that, her ending of, oh, all the spirits, were all released except for Ruby, who decided to stay. Is it Ruby throwing the ball? Is it somebody else throwing the ball? Is Tate throwing the ball? I mean, she doesn't know for sure if any of the spirits left.
It's all, like, this is where we get really, really confused and trying to get into the, okay, what part of the Murder House lore is actually real? What's a TV show, because they, explicitly reference American Horror Story, the show, time and time again throughout this episode.
Yeah, even in the video game, we had one of the people say that they went to Comic-Con dressed as Sister Jude. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool that they're being a little meta here. That's like, oh, the show exists, but the house also exists. And I think that but now we also have the video game that exists. So it gets really confusing of what part is American Horror Story, the show? What part is Murder House, the real house in Los Angeles? What part is the video game of this? And it all just gets put together in a way that just didn't fit into, by the time you get to the end, you're kind of like, okay, I don't know what I'm in anymore.
I have a really dumb theory. And I'm saying this 9 minutes in because there's a possibility not everyone may be around to hear this anymore. All right. Was this entire episode constructed just so that people would stop actually visiting the real Murder House in real life and harassing the people that are around there? Because I've heard stories about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. If I had to break down how I think that this episode is with the story, I think that he's trying to make it that all three aspects are here, that the Murder House actually happened in life, and then there was American Horror Story based on the Murder House that happened in real life, and then this person was making the video game. And spoiler alert for anyone that's played Until Dawn, and if you haven't, okay, I'm assuming that everybody who hasn't, doesn't want to be spoiled, has covered their ears.
Yeah.
This video game is Until Dawn. It is the same game where you're trying to survive being in a house with a murder, a bunch of people trying to murder you. You're trying to get out of it, and then the game ends with the house being burned down. Like, it is the exact same game.
You know what the funny thing is? I think it's because I like Until Dawn.
I love Until Dawn.
Yeah, like I just was like, all right, I'm just gonna roll with this. I'll just kind of enjoy, because this is the funny thing about it. It's like the parts of this episode that were actually, you know, the quote unquote game that we know for sure were the game. Like, those were the part of the episode that I actually kind of enjoyed the most, because I was just kind of getting into the scares and sort of the weirdness of it. I mean, yeah, I kind of understood once we got to the point where, you know, freaking Twisty shows up at the beginning in that first little segment. Okay, it's like, all right, this is either a dream or whatever. But, like, I was kind of rolling with it there. I was kind of rolling with the latter part of it where we were seeing eventually the path leading to the house being burned down. And I think the only reason why was I have been on this camp for years. Why hasn't somebody just gone and burned down this stinking house by now? It's like, you know, don't go and be one of these idiots that's just like, oh, I'm going to go spend the night where all these people die.
That was also my other issue with this, is not that the house got burned down, but who burned the house down? So we had this story of this son and this mom,
Yeah.
and they don't have a good relationship because she didn't watch American Horror Story and she made this game without watching the show. He got so upset he'd go stay with his dad for 3 weeks.
No.
I was just like, this story is so weak. It is really weak. I just didn't get invested. I wasn't invested in the mom. I wasn't invested in this kid. And then this kid is the person who burned down Murder House. I was just, no. I did not like this episode.
Here's the other thing I'm wondering about. Like, are the mom and the kid then characters in this video game? Like, are they as self-indulgent as Ryan Murphy was in the creation of all of this?
I think they probably are, because structurally that's what I think sort of happened, is that we had the video game, then we had the little moment where the kid was like, back in life, oh, I'm going to go live with my dad. You don't get it. You haven't watched the show. Then I think she watched the show and then started working on the game again. And then she was like, you know what? I'm going to do some research. We're living in these condos that are on top of where Murder House used to be. I think the whole buying the Murder House and all that was just part of the game, that she maybe went to the archives library, learned a bit more about the house, learned more about the area and, you know, the condos that were built there, and then inserted that into the game so that when we got to the very end where we're out of the game again, the kid was like, oh, cool, because, you know, now I'm part of the game and you're part of the game and this is really great.
Here's why a part of me was just wish that there was no coda, where the second part of it was all the game again, and it just ended with Ruby and Scarlet together. It's just that I could have at least felt marginally satisfied emotionally with some of that, because yes, there are a lot of people in the Murder House that were absolutely horrific human beings, but I was okay with the idea that maybe eventually these people have suffered enough and that they have a chance to sort of cross over into whatever the next part of their afterlife is. Like, at least it would have felt like an element of closure, as opposed to, guess what, you guys are all just stuck here forever.
I was fine with them all being stuck there forever, because they've explained it over the first season of Murder House, plus these episodes, that the people that are in this house are typically not that great. There are some innocent people that got stuck in this house, but there are also some really tortured souls that have done some terrible, terrible things that are stuck in their own torture loop.
It's true, and I think that this episode is going to just have opinions all across the map, if I'm being honest, because there are people who love Murder House and treat Murder House, like you have a more emotional attachment to Murder House than I do.
I love it. So what I'm most worried about after this is that Ryan Murphy, has left the smallest door open, because he has burnt the Murder House down in the video game. Maybe they showed that they were living in the condo. They showed the ball rolling. Is it the same condo? I think we're supposed to think that it is. But if he sees the reaction online of some of the people that are like, really, Ryan? He's left the smallest door open that he can say, was all a video game. It was all a dream kind of thing. I'm going to make this again. And Murder House is back.
Okay, this is an as dumb a theory as the one I shared earlier, because I believe fully in this theory that Ryan Murphy decided he was going to give us 3 out of 7 episodes of this season about Murder House. I think because he didn't know if anybody was going to watch this show. He really needed people to get on board. He knew this was an easy sort of cash grab, and he just threw this against the wall. I think he's more than capable of throwing it against the wall again if it's going to give him attention.
This is what Ryan Murphy needed to do, and this is actually what I thought he was going to do. I thought the first episode was going to be a different story about Murder House, and that's why I was really excited with that first episode. And I was like, cool, you're telling me a new story about, the Murder House, which is something that I like. Then I thought we were going to get into other episodes, and it was going to be like, okay, maybe we are revisiting Asylum, and we are going to get a different story at a different time in that same space.
Yeah.
Then we're going to get a different story, maybe about Freak Show or Coven or anything else, or even Roanoke, where we saw that there was a bit of a Sarah Paulson trash that season. That also made me laugh. Okay, 2 out of 10 for that episode.
That was my favorite part of the entire episode. Funny. It was... I don't know. I don't remember the timing of everything because I do remember headlines earlier this year about Sarah Paulson trashing Roanoke. And I remember at the time it was like, okay, so you have a problem with this season and you don't have a problem with Hotel, which is like 1,000 times worse than Roanoke, which is underrated. I am on Roanoke Island. Come join me, everyone. But I love that. I just love that Ryan Murphy can at least give himself an L when his golden member of the franchise didn't like something that he did.
Yeah. So overall, the sort of stories, franchise, I think there were some hits in there. We liked the whole Bro House Christmas episode more than probably anybody else.
Yeah.
There were some problems. Drive-In had some problems. It was, obviously this whole Murder House had some problems. There were some problems with it. That doesn't mean that there can't be a way to bring this back, but he can't have 7 episodes and 3 of them are Murder House. Give us 7 different horror stories.
Yeah.
If some of them don't land, that's okay. If some of them do, great.
It felt a little bit cowardly in a way that we're just going to lean on one property for so long. And I do believe in this franchise too. I think there's so much potential in what I would like Ryan to do moving forward because, you've already got a million things at Netflix. You've got American. Let go of some of the reins here. Give more of these episodes over to maybe for people who maybe haven't written a full episode of TV before, people with new, fresh ideas that can pay homage to you, but also give us something that's very, very different and unique.
Stop dipping into the same well over and over and over and over again. We don't need to see Murder House 50 times.
Yeah, because if you had, let's say you had a Murder Manor or something like that instead, and yes, I'm being a little bit silly here, but if you give us something new, all of a sudden that lessens our demand to want to see all of these people or all of these things from the past, and you don't have to worry about your budget going into overdrive. We're trying to help you here, Ryan.
Yeah, I just think there's so many different type of horror themed stories to tell.
Yeah.
That there was no reason for almost half your episodes to be about something you already told a story on in a good, complete way that everyone was so happy with.
I will just... Last thought, I would play this video game. I don't know if it's actually going to be good, but I would play it.
I would play a video game. I played Until Dawn. It was great.
Yeah. The stakes are high here for you guys. Okay, well, what did you guys think about Game Over? Is this, wait for it, Game Over for you with Murder House moving forward? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this discussion, hit that like button, that subscribe button. Thank you guys. We will see you for American Horror Story next time.